And we are live.
Are we? Yes. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to host today Dr. Alicja Pawluczuk. Alicja is a digital artist and researcher who came to Poznan not so long ago, I think a couple of months ago, after many years spent in Scotland, in Edinburgh. And she joined our little DOMIE community, and we started, discuss many issues together and work together. Alicja helped us a lot with our website, but she also prepared a special project that is called Gendered Pain. And today I wanted to ask her a few questions about this website and also invite you to watch what's there. Hello, Alicja.
Hi, everyone. And thank you, Martina, for, taking the risk and interviewing me live on Facebook. As you said, I lived in Scotland for a long time, and I have only just returned to Poznan, where I'm from. And it's been an incredible coincidence that I managed to, a lucky one, that I managed to get to know you and know DOMIE as well. And in a way find my own little community in Poznan. So thank you so much for having me as a member, but also thank you for allowing me to present my work, which has been long in the making, and I'm glad it's finally out there. And for those of you who are watching us, it's GenderedPain.online. The exhibition is live now, so you're welcome to click and enjoy.
Yeah, I will encourage you to open the website even now if you want, if you can share your attention, and also ask. You can also ask your questions in comments. I'm sure that Alicja will be very happy to answer them. I also want to explain why we decided to speak in English. As I said, Alicja lived many years abroad, and her project was also developed in English. And she's also a founder of different digital communities and working, with in many participatory projects. So we also wanted to keep the conversation accessible for those who cannot operate in Polish language.
Yeah. So thank you for doing that, because in a way I find it easier to talk about my work and some of the issues in English. But anytime we can switch to Polish if anybody wants us to. So.
Yeah, if I forget this word, I will switch to Polish. Okay, so what is gendered pain?
Yeah, well, thank you. Gendered pain to me is a mixture of things, and it's definitely linked to my personal experience of endometriosis, which is a condition that many people with uterus suffer from it. They have, excess of endometrial tissue, which grows in different parts of your body. Essentially, it's a very common condition. 1 in 7 women has got it. So, and it's been around for forever, although it has been ignored for a number of years. Oh, as far as researchers remember, uterus was always blamed for many things that are wrong with women. And in a sense, the fact that women are also very often in pain has been normalized for a number of years, if not centuries. So the gendered pain is essentially, to me, the way we talk and the way we the way women's pain essentially in this project operates in the society. So the way we talk about women's pain. So, you know, you're in pain again. Oh, your pain is normal. You don't really look like you're in pain. Are you sure you're in pain? So there has been quite a lot of research around, you know, the medical misogyny and the fact that women are not being taken seriously by medical professions. But also in terms of endometriosis and my personal experience, I have been ignored for a number of years. You know, doctors telling me that it's all in my head, you know, all these things. But I have also been part of a digital community, so Facebook support groups, Instagram, where I seen lots of pain of women who were disbelieved, ignored, you know, told that it's all in their heads. And so when you look on the website, there is several cases there of women who are kind of, you know, some of the things that I found online and some of the things that inspired me. And there's also gendered pain bingo that you can play. And I invite you to play around with gender bingo and see all the different influences that might matter when you're, as a person with uterus or a woman in this particular case, looking for help with your pain. So I'm not sure if I've answered your question, but there you go.
Yeah, partially. We can go further. So what does the platform Gendered Pain contain of? I visited the website a couple of days ago, and it's a combination of different things, because as you said, we can read you collected some data, but you also proposed more poetic, let's say, text in form of a manifesto. But there are also visual parts. There's like videos and collages, and also some sound art. Can you tell a little bit more how your work is constructed? What can one expect going there?
Yeah, so it's a mixture of things. Like you said, there are images that sort of, for me, are in a sense representation of, you know, how women experience pain, but also how they report their pain and how they. So, you know, there is lots of blood and meat covered in glitter. So in a sense, it's the idea of womanhood being glorified. And when you do look beautiful, you cannot be ill. So when you look at the pictures that I've taken, you probably, this is, well, I don't want you to feel that way, but these were some of the things that inspired me to create these images. I've been creating sort of collage work and visual art stuff for a number of years now, and it's all on my Instagram page, and you can find a link there as well. Mainly based on my personal experience of endometriosis. And then there's another part. So when you enter the website and you go to the gender pain part, you can hit play and you'll hear some, I really like the word that you use. You said manifesto. I would love it, let's call it a manifesto. It's I would love for it to be a bit of a manifesto read by a male voice. So just to show the kind of ownership of these narratives are very much often kind of hold in. There is a certain power structure as to who decides if you're genuinely ill or genuinely in pain, and very often it's not yourself, because you have to play a certain role. So there's a text that I've written. There are different texts, and they are based on some of the reading that I've done around, gender, medical misogyny and gendered pain. And you can see the reading list on the first part. So at the bottom, you will see the references. So for anybody who wants to get a little bit annoyed and, read more about gendered pain, then these are probably the best books out there. And then you've got some info about endometriosis and kind of explaining how you know, pain in menstruating women has never qualified as a medical mystery actually worth solving. So the fact that, you know, women and uteruses have been ignored for a number of years, so it's a not new new problem. You know, women have been described as hysterical. So I encourage you to have a look at some of the things that are there, but also the reading. And what's important about this, and I think this is the most important part, is the case 1, case 2, and case 3. And this is where I try to present 3 cases of women who are not being believed that they're in pain. So you will see the first case as representative of a patient probably, I would say that I identified with these 3 patients, okay? So it's not that you have this fixed position of a patient and then you're stick to one. But this one is, and it happened to women that I know myself personally, who, you know, are very intelligent, who are able to research their symptoms, who are very, you know, very happy to share their experience and spend more time talking about it. And these women have been ignored. So this is the first story. Should I go on, or would you like to say something? Or
well, I just when you said about this, that I find it very interesting to figure out who indeed decides about your pain, and also, I would also like to ask you about your nickname.
yeah,
You developed a project under the name Hystera.
yes.
Yeah, can you tell something about this? Was your pain also underestimated, and why are you Hystera? What does it mean?
I think it's good to tell a personal story here, because personal stories are often the most entertaining. But my story is a bit sad, but it might also be informative to many of you. I was 12 or 11 when I started menstruating, and the pain was unbearable. I would bleed a lot, yet the doctors would say that it's just part of being, you know, it's just women's nature, so you just have to deal with it. And many of the doctors would tell me that, you know, you just need to wait until your first pregnancy, and once you're pregnant, then all of your issues will be solved. So it was quite striking that, you know, at the age of 11 or 12, a male doctor would tell me that I'm exaggerating my pain, that my bleeding isn't so bad afterwards, and that I should specifically just get pregnant because that's my sole purpose in life. So again and again in my life, I remember being in pain and talking about pain, but and very much I would very often be described as a, you know, as a just hysterical person, you know. So people would, well, in my family, but also doctors primarily would tell me to stop this hysteria. So in a sense, when suffering from the condition and when finally getting diagnosed in my mid-20s, the word kind of resonated with me. You know, the word that it has been used for centuries, you know. And then I realized that hystera actually is Greek for uterus, and that's why it's sort of, you know, uterus was blamed for all the evil that's in women. You know, in the Middle Age, it was a source of all evil. Then there was the idea of wandering womb, you know, and how if women are ill in the ancient time, it was because their, you know, their uterus was causing it, or they were delaying motherhood. So things like that. So there's lots of myths that have been around, and it feels like these myths that are socially constructed have created the narratives around pain. So very often someone else gets to judge if you're really in pain. You know, so when you're saying, oh, when you're 12 and you're saying, oh, I've got period pain to your teacher, you have to do it in a certain way. You need to make it believable, right? When you're at work, you need to emphasize, do it in a professional manner. Maybe you shouldn't talk about your period at all because it's disgusting.
I think most of us just don't speak about it. We do
Yeah.
it in, silence. It's sort of invisible thing that we just need to go through every month, and no one cares.
Yeah.
It was even difficult for me on like physical education, even though I suffered, but I would never, tell it out
Yeah.
loud.
Yeah, but this is it. Period pains have been normalized for forever. So when you talk about your pain, you're becoming the difficult woman. You shouldn't be talking about your pain too much because you're just drawing attention to yourself. So there's always something behind it. There's someone, it always feels like there's someone there who will tell you what your pain is really about because you're a woman. These stories there on the websites are sort of representative of three different scenarios that I found very common on these social media Facebook groups. So you have stories that women are too poor when they get medication, therefore they are addicted to it, so they shouldn't be getting it. And that's specifically in the States, where ethnic minorities, black women in particular, have to spend double the time that white women to get access to medication. Then there is the educated women when they're trying to, they are too annoying, they're too outspoken, so you should just brush them off. Then they're too young to be in so much pain. They look too good. Then they're too old, at some point. So there's
So they
many.
don't complain anymore.
Yeah, so that's why I would recommend you to take a look at the gendered pain bingo, because it shows you the data that is out there that tells you that, if you're too anxious, then you're too emotional. There was this tendency, even in the 70s and the 80s, and this is where I'm talking about like Western literature and Western research, where there was women would get blamed for the fact that they're not feminine enough, and that's why they have these problems. So if they were just feminine enough, they wouldn't get these, period pains. And so essentially, it's all your fault. It's all your fault, so deal with it.
Yeah, because there is medical aspect, of course, but there is also the cultural aspect, or let's say romantic aspect, or sexual aspect. It's yeah, and yeah, I mean, female genitals are very often in the culture described as disgusting or frightening, or like really forbidden, bringing really strong emotions. That's why I really love your I don't know, animated sculpture collage things, because they are meaty. This is real flesh, but in the same time they are so approachable, and somehow searching for connection. Let's say it's very yeah. It's I find it very very cute. Okay, so you said that there is, of course, this endometriosis is a illness that is that only women can suffer from, right? And can you tell us a little bit more? You said that you are following or participating actively in this, on some groups. Do you mean online groups? How do women gather to share this invisible pain, as you say, or this medical misogyny, as you call it? Can you tell us a little bit more about support groups, or
Yeah.
what does it give to share your story of your pain with others? And is it important? Can it be a tool of empowerment?
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's a great question. And let me just go back to the thing that you said about vaginas being disgusting,
Mm.
which is a common theme. And we are sort of taught not to think about them. And like you said, it's socially constructed. So in the text, and especially in the so-called manifesto now, we've established its manifesto.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there I say that vaginas are fine if they are in porn, that's fine, you know, that's acceptable because that's where they belong. So porn became this, no, there isn't anything wrong with porn, you know, if it's done in a, you know, feminist porn, there's feminist porn, there's lots of things out there, but it's this idea that, you know, the vaginas are disgusting, but so we don't want to see them, but it's okay to see them in porn, you know. So this is where we sort of lose again the battle, the ownership of our own body, and you know how we want it to be perceived, or the fact that we have this internalized fear of our own body. That's a bit of an issue, and then it alienates you from your problem and your pain because you are worried that you don't really own your body, so you can't really own your pain. And that's when it comes to, you know, endometriosis in this particular case is extremely an important case for you know, medical misogyny debate, because it's not just, yeah, I would say that it's people with uterus, so women, but you know, anybody who's got uterus might suffer from endometriosis, and there have been amazing, you know, projects that kind of touched upon these different topics of different gender identities as well. But in particular here, I'm focusing on women because that's what the communities that I been interacting with, they're primarily women. So the ones that I've observed, at least, okay? So these groups are, for me, have been a godsend, you know, because at the time when I found out, that was 10 years ago, about endometriosis, I couldn't find any information online. And it was these support groups on Facebook where women would share their pain, their personal pain. They would talk about, you know, the issues, the most disgusting issues, you know, whatever you want to call it. Then they would also, there was cases where women would, you know, share their final thoughts before committing suicide, because these support groups were the only places where they could be understood. So when you are in this community, and myself, I had to take a break from this community as well for a number of months, because you know, it was too much experiencing all of this pain. You realize that the same stories are being repeated again and again and again. So it's you know, you're not believable, you're not good enough, you're not sick enough, you're not you don't know enough about the condition, then you know too much. So I think these stories are very powerful, but they're you know, they're ignored, and to what extent are they actually being taken seriously by the algorithms? You know, it's another story. But yeah, I think I'm not sure about the Polish support groups, but I'm sure there is lots of them in terms of the endometriosis support group on Facebook. It has got around 50,000 users, and people there are amazing. They are extremely supportive, and my experience of using support groups, and also you know, the Endo Sister hashtag on Instagram, many times I got so much support, and amazing women or people out there would help me to, you know, in difficult times for myself as well. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. But gendered pain is, as far as I understand, it's not only dedicated to women with endometriosis. You share your experience. It's like a starting point, but I think it goes much wider than this. I don't suffer from endometriosis, but I myself as a woman experienced, you know, like mistreatment at the doctors,
Yeah.
you know, many times. And it happened to me, you know, that for instance, I have one story to tell. When I was at the gynecologist a couple of years ago, I had a plan to use a spiral as a contraception.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wanted to get some information from him. And then he told me that he will not give me even information because I'm not a mother yet. This is where the story ended, and I was really shocked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, how dare you? How you even know if I wanted to be a mother? Or, but this is where story ended. Like, he didn't want to even talk to me because I mean, for him, I was a function.
Yeah, you're here to serve a purpose, and your purpose is to, carry something in your uterus, or have a baby, and just serve your purpose. And I think when we think about the purpose that women play in society and how they're socially constructed, so there is the intersection of issues that women have to deal with, your age, your race, the disability. So you have to consider all of that when it comes to oppression of women. And I would say that the same thing happens when it comes to women's pain, because the way you present your pain, the way you have talked, or if you are not believable enough, that's already that's also socially constructed. So I think it's the oppression goes beyond endometriosis, and I would say it's women that suffer from this, but I would say that there is probably some issues there when it comes to men, when it comes to their pain. Perhaps they're not allowed to express their pain, they're not allowed to be sensitive. But my project isn't focusing on men, it is focusing on women, and it is focusing on endometriosis. So obviously this is beyond my scope to cover men, but no, I'm not against men, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We're not men haters.
And tell me, you live with endometriosis for so many years, and you said it took also many years for you to even be diagnosed. And can you tell us a little bit, is it changing?
I think it is changing, and I think these amazing support groups have made a huge difference to the way endometriosis is talked about. So 10 years ago, and even looking at some older women who had menstrual issues back in the 80s or 90s, and the way they were mistreated back then is definitely not as severe as what's happening now. But things have changed. Maybe the discussions are there. We've just received incredible news from Scotland, where menstrual products are for free to everyone because it's a social justice issue. And I think we should have more of these conversations. And I have been involved with lots of debates and groups in Scotland around endometriosis at the Scottish Parliament, and really digging that issue and ensuring that these stories are being heard. But I would say that menstrual justice is a big one, and we are so far away from the life that I would like to have for the younger generation, where you can really talk about your periods, where you can get support, where you're not being judged for just being a woman, I guess. Yeah. I think things are getting better, but still, if you look at the amount of money that is put into research for endometriosis, there's hardly any money, okay? And nobody knows where endometriosis comes from. Nobody knows how to deal with it. You can't cure it, okay, at this stage. So it really kind of links with the history and the way we talk about women and periods and uterus, and how we are just ignoring that it's there. And if women are in pain, it's essentially their fault because they've done something wrong. And it's really interesting to look at it from the the health and well-being perspective now, where you're being told that you don't look after yourself, so maybe you should get more green juices, or maybe you should meditate, or so essentially you should just fuck off. And it's always your fault. You'll never win, so we need more funding to understand where endometriosis is coming from, and also think about the pain and not just the pregnancy element, because very often when you have endometriosis, and something I read in the book, and I think I can even show you the book, because I would definitely recommend you guys reading it. She writes here that women who come to your gynecologist to get with endometriosis and they want to get pregnant, they get more attention than the ones that just come in and say that they're in pain. So pregnancy, your fertility, is sort of the reason why you might be taken seriously. But if it's just your pain, then you need to wait double the time. So it's a fascinating book, and if anybody wants to read it, I would definitely recommend it. but just drink some wine with it because it's so annoying.
Yeah, and congratulations to Scotland, you know, making this big step. I think in Poland at the moment we are uh, yeah, in the chaos of fighting for humans, women's rights. So we are far away from menstrual justice, but you can get some in the DOMIE area, thanks to the Różowa Skrzyneczka Association. We are sharing like items for menstruation for women in different sort of crises connected to this issue. So we're invited not only to Gendered Pain website, but also to DOMIE to support others. Yeah, and well, so what's the purpose of gendered pain, and what is? I wanted to ask on two levels. First level, I wanted to ask you about your work, your practice as Hestera. What kind of practice is it? Is it for you like form of auto therapy maybe, or you know, working out some things connected to your own pain, or is it a way of communicate? Like, what is it for you, and who is like your who should be a receiver of your work? Like, who do you invite especially to visit Gendered Pain and get in touch with you as an artist?
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing for me is to share the stories from the endometriosis community. So as much as I want this to be about me, of course, because you know it's my first art project, I guess, but my practice comes from a participatory community practice. So for a number of years in Scotland, I would use participatory video and filmmaking, and so in a sense, it was always about story co-creation of meaning, you know. So this is very personal and this is different. But at the same time, I'm trying to represent some of the voices that are out there in the endometriosis community without using a specific one voice. So these are, I wrote these myself. You can call it participatory observation, you know, being a number of years in these groups. But yeah, it's, who would I like? Well, I think it's important to just note that today is the 25th of November, and it's a big. So this is a big day for action when it comes to action against violence against women. So today is 25th of November. Every year kind of marks the beginning of 16 days of activism, where we talk about gender-based violence. So the 16-day activism hashtag that is there, I would like it to also be linked to this campaign to understand that menstrual justice and women's pain and medical misogyny is also a social justice issue related to violence against women. It's indirect violence, right? So it's like a systemic issue that it's there, but we hardly ever talk about it. So I just wanted to take a more nuanced approach to this problem in this project. And I really hope it isn't too arty, although it's art, so it should be arty, you know, but I would like people to be able to get something out of it. So if you don't want to listen to the male voice reading out all of these cases, play the gender bingo and see what it's like to be a woman who's trying to get some medical care. But what I wanted to say as well is this, we're starting today, and this is the 25th of November, and then we're going to have the 16 days of activism, and that ends, when is it exactly? On the 10th of December, and December marks the International Human Rights Day. So I really hope that we will manage to achieve something with this project. So on the 10th of December, we can celebrate women's rights and human rights in Poland. Not sure if that answers your question, but you know, just improvising here.
Yeah, and yeah, so today is the first day of 16 days of activism, and your project opens let's say opening is the first activity that DOMIE and DOMIE community is also trying to support these days with.
Yeah.
And I think we can also say now that we are planning to share and repost much more um, things connected to violence against women and menstrual justice and gender suffering, pain. And so please, everybody who listens to our conversation, please stay tuned and observe our page. Follow us to get to know some interesting things that Alicia will also help us to share and collect.
Yeah, so this is where I could probably say that we would also invite you to get in touch with Domie if you have any stories that you would like to share over the next 16 days. If we could somehow link them, or you're an artist who would like to share your work, which somehow links to gender-based violence, then it would be amazing to hear from you. And yeah, it would be great to connect as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alicia. I'm super happy that you presented your new work together with us, or on our on our profile. I'm super happy also that you are part of the community. I think we will do many things connected to women rights and the issues that you are involved with in with your practice and your research. And I'm super happy that you agreed to be my guest tonight. So, yeah, I don't see any questions. We don't have any questions, but I guess that maybe the questions will come later. Maybe for some of you, it was the first time that our listeners that yeah, if you got to know this topic at all. So maybe it will come after. We are always open to for discussion. So please feel free to write, ask, comment. Yeah.
Well, thank you again for having me and for welcoming me in my hometown. It's such an incredible privilege to be able to work with you guys, and thank you for allowing me to share my story and my project. And I look forward to hearing from you guys if you have any questions or if you want to discuss any of these issues. And as I said, for anybody who might think that they have endometriosis, please try to find a support group somewhere online. Obviously, trying to find something that is believable, or something that is being aware of the misinformation that is out there as well. So, but there are support groups out there, and I hope you'll be able to get some support. And thank you again for having me. So, and this is amazing. We've done it. We've done it.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Please remember, GenderedPain.online.
Yes. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye, bye, bye. Let me see.